Hello, my name is Torsten Kupion. I'm the MDM for security for Zyxel Europe, and today I will lead you through our portfolio and tell you about the benefits of our security portfolio. What we have seen lately or in the last 2 years that malware was really rising enormously, and whatever statistics you are looking at, it's all the same picture. Malware has become a major threat to all networks, and therefore all kind of defense mechanisms need to be used to defend malware. And you see here some threat statistics. 58%, for example, of malware attacks are categorized as small businesses. And you can, as I said, take all the data you want. You see always a similar picture. So also here, definitely we have a lot of need to improve the security, because here is another interesting number. 81% of data breach victims do not have a system in place to self-detect data breaches, which is a big problem, not only because the network can be infiltrated and valuable data or even money in the end can be gotten out of your system. Also, in some or in a lot of European countries, we have the GDPR rules. So if a breach is undetected, it has probably quite harsh consequences for the business. It could cost you up to 4% of the revenue or up to 20 million in fines. So it's very essential that you are aware this is not something which is, a corner case in a network, but every day a network is attacked, and therefore security is really, really important. If you look at further numbers, then we see also a trend which is very clear. The attacks become more sophisticated. Why is this? First of all, hackers learn. Every year they learn more. The tools are readily available even for non-sophisticated hackers. So from this point of view, you can clearly say that we have a situation where threats become more dangerous, and especially because hackers have learned there are so many tools that even non-sophisticated hackers can use this to attack a network, which of course is a big problem. And also 67% have experienced a cyber attack in the last 12 months. But if you use a firewall and you look into the stats, you can basically see that almost every network is attacked every day with some kind of malware, worse or maybe not so worse. If you look further at it, then you see here every 39 seconds there is a hacker attack. So there's really something out there which you should basically defend against, because it can cost you a lot of money, or it could even cost you your existence. So it's a very dangerous thing happening out there. When you look at our security portfolio, of course, we have plenty of options to secure yourself. And you see here in this slide that we have several product lines based partly on cloud solutions, based on solutions which are on premise. We have a VPN series, we have a USG series which is containing UTM, and ATP, which is besides the UTM part also containing sandboxing. So we have several options in our portfolio so that you can choose whatever you want a la carte. We believe this is important because in the end, it's all a mixture of price, of the security level you wish for, maybe even some security concerns. If you go ATP, for example, you would have a cloud connection. We know that cloud connections are much more accepted than maybe a few years ago, but still there might be concerns. So if there are concerns, you can still go to USG or VPN. So we have all kinds of options for you. If you look into this, then of course for us it's always important that we have outstanding certification. ICSA is one of the labs where we are certified, and it's very important to have an independent certification to prove that not only your internal tests show that you have a good or excellent firewall, but also this is proven by some independent institute. If we go then right into the portfolio, it's very clear that, and I mentioned this already, we are looking for a portfolio a la carte. So whatever you are looking for, we want to give you the right solution. So you see here basically 3 product lines in red and one which is kind of silver whitish. If I go first to the ones which have the red bezel, then you see the VPN series, which is VPN, which but also gives you content filtering, and SD-WAN, which is very important when you want to have really speedy and low latency connections. Then you see here the USG series, which is giving you not only VPN and firewalling, but also the UTM services. And ATP is, you can say, the flagship of our product lines because it also contains sandboxing, which is a live check in the cloud. And I will tell you a little bit later why this is so important and why we believe this is definitely the future. ATP is a great product line in this regard. NSG series is a very good firewall and it belongs to the cloud managed UTM solution. So we call our cloud solution Nebula. Nebula contains a management solution for switch, for wireless, and for security. And NSG is our security device within this solution. So if you want to have an easy to manage cloud solution, then NSG is the perfect choice from our cyber portfolio. Of course, we are always looking into what is really needed. And today you see here some of the features. We see, of course, that you have, for example, dual firmware support. You need multi-WAN. If a line fails, then the other line is still available. The same thing is redundancy with device HA. So one device is failing, another device can take over. Very important. So we have device HA and device HA Pro. And of course, VPN high availability so that no remote tunnel will crash down in or actually another tunnel will take over in this high availability scenario for VPN. So all these features are very important for us and we want to look to continually improve this because the worst thing for a firewall is when it becomes the bottleneck and connections are going down and therefore the network cannot work anymore. Also, from our philosophy, it's very important that we look into independent expertise. What does it mean? It means that we are, of course, from my understanding, of course, an excellent provider of security firewall, of routing, of VPN, of a lot of feature sets we have integrated. But also, there's a world outside, an ecosystem with great great vendors who are contributing a lot to antivirus, anti-spam, content filtering, or IDP. And we work here with the best of the best, which is Trend Micro. You see the names, Bitdefender. We have also, I could mention this, Kaspersky, which would be an alternative to Bitdefender. So we are working with all these vendors, which have a very good name, have an excellent security level, and can add in combination with our firewalls a perfect solution. And this is also our philosophy. We know that some of our competitors are looking into in-house solutions, which might not be a bad solution, but of course, if you work really with the best experts in the market, it makes a lot of sense and it brings a lot of advantages. Of course, also important is in today's world, definitely that the firewall becomes a control center in your network. What does it mean? Take, for example, application patrol. You cannot say today anymore, if you want to be a modern business, oh, I block just everything and just have my traffic on a bare minimum. This is very, very dangerous because then you maybe lose the modern ways of communication. Take, for example, Skype. There are a lot of companies Skyping with their customers, and it's maybe expected nowadays. But there are also many other applications which you just need to use. So a firewall cannot just block it. You need an intelligent way to do this. And an intelligent way is that your firewall is like actually looking at the application, for example, Skype. So you could say, for example, that say the boss of a company could probably go and have full Skype access, but the inside sales should have only Skype access during the working hours. Or you could go by bandwidth and prevent file transferring by putting down or by cutting down the bandwidth for Skype. So there are a lot of options how you can basically manage this. And this is very important because then you make the firewall not only a yes or no firewall, but really a control center of your whole network. And this is just one very, let's say, shiny example of what you can do with our firewalls, but a very important one. And there are so many others as well. So very important from our point of view. Of course, also we are looking always when we look in our portfolio, what are the business models behind? Because we know you as our resellers are such a valuable resource to make business. And we are really grateful that we have such great resellers available. But there's also, of course, a reality. Everybody needs to make money in the end. So with our license portal, with our licensing structure, we are allowing that it is easy to make recursive profits with our licenses. I think that's one of the key things because firewall has one very nice benefit. It's not like a switch or some storage device or an iPhone or whatever. You are making money by the renewals of the licenses. So every time you sell a license, 1 year, 2 years later, you can go back to the customer and sell another license. So all your effort invested into security comes back probably 2 or 3 times. And also your end customer, of course, will be happy that you will make him aware of what's going on, that he needs to renew. Maybe there are new services you can add. So a lot of opportunity is given here. The reality is also that there are a lot of VPN installations out there, and that brings us here to our VPN series. VPN series is very important when you have a distributed environment. We have in Zyxel a lot of smaller or even bigger projects where you have a company, let's say maybe just 50 users, and they all have branch offices. So from this point of view, you can clearly say that these branch offices need to have a secure connection into the headquarter. And this is where VPN series is very valuable. So if I look into this, then you see here some of the features which are very important. Of course, also something, for example, like integrated VLAN controller. If you have a supermarket situation, for example, then it's nice to have the wireless also in the supermarket. And the VPN is giving you the connection. If you look into the VPN portfolio, it starts with a very low-end entry-level device, VPN2S. This is for really small offices or even for prosumers. Then we start with UG20, VPN50, 100, 300, and 2200, all VPN devices. Actually, 2200 can also be added. The UTM license could be also added to this device. The important thing for VPN series for the 50, 100, and 300 is that we have also the SD-WAN, situation. So you can basically add an SD-WAN to this and have a much better so-called super VPN situation in this. If we go to the USG series, then of course we have here another series which can carry UTM devices. Even it's not capable to do the sandboxing like the ATP. This is something we actually recommend at the moment. We can clearly say that the USG with their UTM capabilities, content filter, anti-spam, antivirus, and intrusion detection is a perfect choice in our portfolio. So you see here a lot of the features we can offer to you. You see, I mentioned already some, but also, of course, the security policies, the unified ones, the application intelligence, the layer 7 traffic shaping. All of this is very important. Another point is that we are always looking into improving our feature set. You see here things like geo IP that you can, tailor what countries your users could approach. So if you say, I don't want somebody to go to North Korea or China or whatever, you can just block it by geo IP. So all these features are adding a level of security, but again, a la carte. You decide what you want, and this is the great benefit of our firewalls. Also, you see here the ESET mode. So we have a lot of wizards. We have a very easy GUI to make it very easy to set up the firewall. We don't want to be the firewall configuration, the showstopper for implementing a firewall, because it can be quite painful. Security is never easy, that's for sure, but we make it as easy as possible. Of course, the more complex you want your firewall to be, with a lot of granular configuration, of course, it will never be easy. But for the basic installation, for the basic functionality, of course, we can make it very easy. If you then look into the USG portfolio, you see clearly we have 40, 60, 110, and all of these devices have clearly, all the features you need at the moment. One very popular and prominent feature is the hotspot feature, which is on the USG series. You can manage access points. So for this, what we call performance series, the models you have just seen, it's definitely a great feature set, especially tailored to this customer segment. If you look a little bit further, then we come into the advanced series, and then with the 1100 into the extreme series, 210, 310, 1100, all very good devices. And then here we have the 1900 as the biggest device in the extreme series. Then I have shown you in the beginning the 2200 as the flagship of all our devices. If you look then into ATP, and this is really something we are very proud of. We have launched this product line in September 2018. So it goes far beyond the classical UTM, which I believe is more and more necessary, because what we see is that the malware has increased. There are attacks and attacks and attacks. And, all the UTM services are signature based. What does it mean? It means that the vendors, something like Trend Micro, for example, or Kaspersky, they identify the viruses, they write a signature, put them into the data bank, and then basically you can say the firewall is checking this signature, so this identification tag, against the incoming traffic. There's only one small problem. The more malware we have, the more the likelihood is there that there's very fresh malware in the market, which Kaspersky or Bitdefender might not have in their database yet, because it was undetected so far. And this could go through. So what we are having here with sandboxing for the ATP device is that we are looking at a file, say, something seems to be wrong, not according to code. There is something unusual. So we send this traffic, this file, into the cloud. There's a live check happening, and this live check says then, okay, it's good or it's bad. It's a complementary feature to the UTM, definitely, because UTM is already doing it against the database. But for the unknown threat, where something seems to be suspicious, we have the sandboxing. And this is how it basically looks. It's cloud intelligence. So what happens is this file, what I mentioned, will be sent to the cloud. It will be contained, emulated, and then identified. That means there's a quarantine. So we emulate it. So what we do is it will be executed, the file. Then we look what is it doing in quarantine, and we see, oh, there's some malware actually happening when you execute the file. Then we know we need to block it or we don't need to block it. And that's a very sophisticated mechanism. Also, this will immediately transferred into our database, so everybody in Zyxel can profit from the situation that we identified something. When it comes to time, it's just between 1 and 5 minutes for a file at most, so very complex, 5 minutes. let's say, normal check is about 1 minute. So it doesn't really mean a lot of a delay when it comes to sending, for example, an email with a file attachment, etc., etc. Yeah, this is how it looks like. If we then go on, then again, we can say that we look into a global security ecosystem for sandboxing. We are definitely working also with a very, very popular company, Lastline. So again, we take the expertise of one of the top experts in the market, put them on top of our firewall, and have therefore a great solution available for you. The portfolio looks at the moment like this. We have ATP 200, 500, 800. And included is already the so-called Gold Pack, the Gold Security Pack, which includes the UTM services plus the sandboxing. We are continuously increasing this product line, enhancing it. So by October this year, we will see a ATP 100. We are also looking into creating this year a ATP 700. So from this point of view, we are enlarging this product lines to both sides. Definitely, this is our product line where we put a lot of effort in. We are looking into integration into our Nebula cloud solution as well, and to put SD-WAN on. This will be definitely some 2020 items, but you can see we invest a lot of our effort into this product line because we believe the more and more serious security threats out there will definitely require that kind of device. If you look how the Gold Pack looks like, I go through the features: sandboxing, web security, so content filtering, application security, malware blocker, in various like cloud query, like cloud threat database, IDP, GeoIP. We have the wireless controller also included in this, and the Seco Reporter as our management reporting software. And this brings us to our Seco Reporter feature. Seco Reporter is a centralized management for our security, and it's really essential today, not only from a technical point of view, that you can really monitor what is happening. You see here analysis, reporting, alerting, monitoring, visualization. It's also important from a business perspective, because today you can say hardware, whatever hardware you have, it's under pressure from a margin point of view. So hardware sales will be harder and harder, so you need to add additional services. And Seco Reporter is exactly the tool that gives you these additional services. You can see what's happening in the network. You can build reports, also extremely important. And then you could go to your end customer and go with him through maybe that sheet and say, okay, this is happening in your network. You might need another license for content filter, or you might change something in your configuration, or you even might need to talk to a staff worker, because obviously there's some misuse of certain websites during the work time, and that should not be the way it is. So many ways of using the Seco Reporter tool. Again, the analytics is key, and it's also key that you can show your customer the value of the firewall, because then only in this kind of scenario he's probably willing to do the renewals for the licenses or buy other products. Without going too deep into the detail, you can definitely see who, what, and when. That's very clear. You see here some of the half of the screen, but you can also see top malware, virus detected, top spam sent. All of this is definitely included. So you see here basically the whole line. SD-WAN is another element of our solution. At the moment, it's on VPN series. We will integrate it into ATP as well. As I said, in 2020, it will be available on ATP. So what is it basically? So SD-WAN is giving you a software-defined wide area network. What does it mean? It means that in contrary to a normal traditional IPsec VPN, it's constantly looking for the best route. So it's constantly measuring and changing the route if the route is not fast enough anymore. So looking for the best route all the time. And this is a very valuable feature because before you can see here like MPLS or T1 ISP services, which are very expensive. You can now use SD-WAN to have a latency-free line. So by doing this permanent check and permanent switching of the route, it's basically looking for the best path, and it comes very close to an MPLS line. If you have ever bought or look at the price, it's easy to look at the prices still today. There are a lot of offerings for MPLS. It's really expensive. It's extremely expensive. So if you have, for example, a VoIP applications, streaming applications, yeah, even very sensitive applications like supermarket chains where the the payment data needs to be transferred to a central site. All these sites need a very stable and fast line, and this is what SD-WAN is giving to you. So the challenges for SMBs and end users are pretty much stated here. Reliable internet, faster connection. All of this is very, very important if you have, for example, as I mentioned, VoIP or streaming or any kind of critical application. And you need to have this, of course, also here to reduce complexity, remove bottlenecks from client networks, or simplify network diversity. If you go into the key features, then you see here, for example, the dynamic path selection. This is a very important feature because this is where the best path will be selected. Of course, many other features like content filter, for example, WAN optimization, all of this is also included. We have here a good example how it looks in reality. This is our headquarters in Taiwan and Germany, where we have an office and our EU support campus. And what you see here is without SD-WAN optimization, a file FTP download of 1.9 gig Ubuntu is taking 2 hours and 40 transfer time. With SD-WAN, and this is real world, so this is our own line, we are down to 10 minutes. So definitely a massive improvement. Again, we have here 3 devices who can support that at the moment, VPN 50, 100, 300. It's already, the SD-WAN license is already included for 1 year, so you can pick traditional IPsec or SD-WAN. After 1 year, you would need to buy a license to continue the service. But when you decide within this time frame to go back to normal IPsec VPN, you can easily do this. This is no problem. So there's no need, of course, to use SD-WAN. You can always go back to the traditional VPN setup with IPsec. And yeah, these 3 devices are supporting this at the moment. And and this is the overview of our security portfolio. From my understanding, I think that malware will become really even stronger in the future. We see hackers, we see the darknet, we see all these things becoming very, very frightening, even to me. So from this point of view, the more mechanisms we can provide to you and you use in your network, the better it can be for you to protect against malware, against breakdowns, against compliance violations, which can happen with the GDPR, for example. So it's very essential to use these tools. I can recommend mainly the ATP, which has really all feature set included and is the perfect device to have clearly a good security setup to protect the network. That was it. Thank you very much for listening to this webinar. I hope you could enjoy it, and yeah, goodbye.